hooping the way we want them to. You know, nobody really likes the green guys, man, especially me from Brooklyn, New York. So I think Dallas has the people behind.
Jesse, I will try to make sure the next time you come on that Steve Inskeep does not undercut you, does not take your legs out when you're driving to the hoop.
Flagrant.
Jesse Washington, senior writer at ESPN's Anscape. Thanks. It's Morning Edition from NPR News. Our theme music was inspired by B.J. Liederman. I'm E. Martinez.
What do you mean flagrant? It's a bad call. It's a bad call. I want a review. I'm Steve Inskeep.
And I'm Michael Hill. Marketplace Morning Report is next. And later on Morning Edition, director Ron Howard's new documentary details the life, the art, and the ambition of Muppets creator Jim Henson.
This was something that connected his voice with audiences, and he recognized that it was a great creative outlet.
Jim Henson, Idea Man, premieres today. More from Howard next hour right here on WNYC. Low 60s right now in the big city with some sunshine out there. Mostly sunny today and a warm 77 with a breeze there from the north. Mostly clear and 61 tonight. Then this weekend, sunshine both Saturday and Sunday with high temperatures in the low 80s. Once again, 60 with sunshine now. It's 6:52.
WNYC is supported by Columbia University SPS, presenting a conversation moderated by Senior Vice Dean Stephen Cohen on how sustainable futures are being shaped on June 5th. Learn more about their summer session at sps.columbia.edu/futures.
Israel's economy since the start of the war.
Marketplace Morning Report is supported by Progressive Insurance. The Name Your Price tool provides a range of coverage options. Progressive.com. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
From Marketplace, I'm Sabri Benishore, in for David Brancaccio. Middle East economics in a moment. First, taxes. Starting next year, a lot more people will be able to file their taxes electronically directly with the IRS without a middleman. This past tax season, the IRS ran a small trial run in a few states and says it went well. So the agency's making its direct file program, which is free, permanent. It's also expanding eligibility for the program. Marketplace's Nova Safo has the details.
The average American spends about 13 hours filing their tax returns. That's according to a government survey. Contrast that with the IRS's free direct file pilot program. The agency says most participants spent an hour or less. Of course, the initial trial run was limited to relatively simple tax filings. Still, Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen, in prepared remarks, pointed to a 90% satisfaction rate among surveyed users.
They appreciated that it allowed them to learn more about different tax credits and quickly fix mistakes, and that there were no fees or upsells.
Yellen also emphasized that the program was possible because of the billions of dollars in new IRS funding from the Inflation Reduction Act. Republicans in Congress have sought to claw back some of that money. The IRS is inviting more states, not just the 12 in the pilot, to participate next year. And while the agency plans to expand the program to most common tax situations, it will do so gradually over years, not months. I'm Nova Safo for Marketplace.
All right, let's do the numbers. Dow, S&P, and NASDAQ futures are all down in the 1 to 0.4% range, with Dow futures down 51 points. The yield on the 10-year Treasury is 4.562%. Shares of Trump Media and Technology Group are down since the news broke yesterday that a New York jury found former President Donald Trump guilty of falsifying business records to influence the 2016 election. Shares of Trump's company, which operates the Truth Social networking site, are down 5.5% right now in pre-market trading.
Marketplace Morning Report is supported by Amazon Business. From small business to big enterprise and everything in between, Amazon Business helps simplify the supplies buying process. Amazon Business, your partner for smart business buying. And by Angie, dedicated to helping homeowners find skilled pros to get home projects done well. Reviews, pricing, and booking at Angie.com or on the Angie app.
We are spending some time this week looking at the economic reality behind the war between Israel and Hamas. Earlier this week, we looked at the economies of Gaza and the West Bank before and during the current conflict. Today, the Israeli economy and how it's changed as a result of the war. Joining us for more on this is Danny Bahar, a non-resident senior fellow in the Global Economy and Development Program at the Brookings Institution. Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Initially, how much did Israel's economy, its GDP, suffer after the start of the war?
So the numbers we have is that for the last quarter of 2023, the Israeli economy contracted by about 20% that quarter. What was different from this conflict were two things. First, there was a massive call for the reservists to go back to the army. Suddenly you have a lot of industries, a lot of firms that couldn't work at its fullest as they were doing before. Second, you also have tens of thousands, even I think more than 100,000 people were displaced, both because of the security threats, both in the south near the Gaza border and also in the north near the Lebanese border. And with that goes also the economy of these places.
Despite all of that, though, here we are 8 months in, the Israeli economy does appear to be rebounding in a fairly significant way. What accounts for that?
Well, I think at this point, the Israeli economy has proven to be very resilient to conflict. We're 8 months in, and I think things in Israel have gained some sort of normalcy again. You know, this is a war, of course, but overall, there's no long-term damage that can structurally challenge the Israeli economy.
Earlier this week, around 130 economists in Israel signed a fairly strongly worded letter warning that the continued exemption from military service for ultra-Orthodox Haredi community could significantly harm the country economically. What do you make of that?
Yeah, you know, that's a long-standing issue in Israel. It didn't start now with this war, but I think this war has made it much more prominent. And it's the fact that there is a significant portion of the Israeli public that are not either serving in the military and are also not as integrated in the labor market. And one of those groups is the ultra-Orthodox community in Israel, that is a significant portion of the population. And these groups, because of political compromises in the 50s, are exempted from actually going to the military. And this poses an important problem for the country because it means that the burden of some of the main responsibilities for the Israeli society actually is falling on a number of people who are becoming smaller and smaller in proportion to the whole population. It is a very critical issue that if there's no compromise with the ultra-Orthodox sectors of the country to be more active in participating not only in the army but also in the economy, it will really continue to put a lot of pressure to the economy as a whole and to the country as a whole.
Where do you see this conflict going from an economic perspective? Where do you see the Israeli economy headed?
You know, the Israeli economy is having these short-term challenges. Nothing has changed structurally in the Israeli economy because of this war that would put Israel into a different path than what it was. The things that worry me are whether the current government of Israel, which I think is quite dysfunctional, is able to manage this in a way that makes sense. And are they putting the country as a first priority in terms of their own political survival? And I have my own doubts about that. On the political side, if this conflict results, hopefully, really hopefully, on a path towards a two-state solution, I think Israel should and will and also will benefit from playing a role in the reconstruction of Gaza and the reconstruction of the Palestinian territories to really make it a win-win-win situation, because I think that's what we all want to have.
Danny Bahar is a non-resident senior fellow at Brookings and professor of international and public affairs at Brown University. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
We also talked with Danny Bahar about Israel's economy before the war. You can find that and our interviews with Palestinian economists about the economic situation in the West Bank and Gaza before and since the war started at marketplace.org. You can also find them in the Marketplace Morning Report podcast feed. In New York, I'm Sabri Ben-Achour with the Marketplace Morning Report. From APM, American Public Media.